You hold the door open for a woman carrying groceries, and she walks through without looking at you. This happens on a Tuesday. You stand there for a moment, hand still on the glass, watching her disappear into the parking lot. You've held doors open your entire life. You've smiled at strangers. You've said, "No problem," when people stepped on your feet. Apologized when others bumped into you. Laughed off the jokes that landed a little too close to something real. You let the door close. Something small shifts. At work, you're the one who stays late. You've always been the one who stays late. Not because anyone asks. Nobody asks anymore. But because you volunteered once, years ago, and that single act of generosity calcified into expectation. Now it's just what you do. You finish your reports, and then you finish Marcus's reports, because Marcus has kids, and Marcus is tired. And Marcus mentioned once that he was overwhelmed. And you said, "I can help with that." And you meant it. Once, and now it's Thursday, and you're still helping with that. Your manager walks by your desk at 7:15. The office is empty, except for the cleaning crew running vacuums in the conference room. She glances at your screen, at the spreadsheet that belongs to someone else, and she says, "Good, you're still here. Can you look at the Hendricks account before tomorrow?" She doesn't wait for your answer. She's already walking away. You watch her go. You watch the way she doesn't turn around, doesn't check, doesn't wonder if maybe you had plans, if maybe you were just about to leave, if maybe you're a person with a life that exists outside these walls. She knows you'll do it. Everyone knows you'll do it. You open the Hendricks file, but you don't start working, not yet. You sit there, cursor blinking, and you think about the last time someone thanked you. Actually thanked you. Not the performative thanks that comes automatically. The thanks that's really just punctuation at the end of a demand. The real kind. The kind that requires someone to stop, to see you, to recognize that you did something you didn't have to do. You can't remember. There's a guy in your friend group named Derek. Derek is not kind. Derek cancels plans at the last minute. Derek borrows money and forgets to pay it back. Derek makes jokes at other people's expense and never apologizes. And when someone calls him out, he shrugs and says, "Man, I'm just being honest." As if honesty and cruelty are the same thing, as if one excuses the other. Everyone loves Derek. Not loves, that's not the right word. Everyone respects Derek. Everyone checks with Derek before making plans. Everyone laughs a little harder at Derek's jokes. Everyone remembers Derek's birthday, even though Derek has never once remembered theirs. You've thought about this before. You've thought about it a lot, actually, in the quiet moments, in the spaces between being helpful and being needed. You've told yourself that Derek's social standing is fragile, that people like him until they don't, that eventually his selfishness will catch up with him. But you've been telling yourself this for 6 years. Derek just got promoted. The shift doesn't happen all at once. It's not a decision, not really. It's more like erosion, like water wearing away at stone. It starts with small things, with experiments so minor that you barely notice yourself conducting them. Someone asks you to cover their shift on a Saturday. You've always said yes. You've never even hesitated. The word yes has lived in your mouth so long that it feels like the only shape your lips can make. This time, you say no. Just no. No explanation. No apology. No alternative solution offered with a side of self-deprecation. Just no. The silence on the other end of the phone is extraordinary. "Oh," they say finally. "Okay, I'll ask someone else." They hang up. You wait for the guilt to come. You felt guilty your whole life. Guilty for existing, guilty for having needs, guilty for the crime of taking up space in a world that seemed like it would run smoother without you. The guilt has been your companion, your shadow, the voice in your head that whispered you should do more. You should be more. You should give until there's nothing left to give. The guilt doesn't come. Something else does instead. Something that feels almost like power. You start noticing things you didn't notice before. You notice the way people's eyes slide over you when you're being helpful, how they look through you like you're furniture, like you're part of the room rather than a person standing in it. You notice how quickly they forget what you've done for them, how your kindness is absorbed into their expectations and disappears without residue. But you also notice what happens when you stop. When you stop volunteering, people look at you. Actually look. There's confusion in their faces, a recalibration happening in real time. They expected something from you, and you didn't deliver it, and now they have to see you again for the first time. Are you okay? Your coworker asks when you don't offer to help with her presentation. Fine, you say. Just busy. You're not busy. You're sitting at your desk, eating a sandwich, doing nothing at all. But you say it anyway, and she nods, and she doesn't ask again. And something in her posture changes. Something subtle, something that looks almost like respect. The weeks pass. You get better at it. You stop apologizing when you haven't done anything wrong. You stop laughing at jokes that aren't funny just to make other people comfortable. You stop filling silences with nervous chatter. Stop offering solutions to problems no one asked you to solve. Stop shrinking yourself down to fit into spaces that were never built to hold you. Your friend group notices first. There's a dinner, a birthday thing for someone you've known since college. You show up on time. You've always shown up on time, early usually, because you were afraid of inconveniencing anyone by being late. But this time, you don't rush to make conversation. Don't circulate around the table checking on everyone. Don't spend the whole evening making sure other people are having a good time. You sit. You eat. You answer questions when asked and offer nothing when not. Derek is at the other end of the table. You watch him operate. Watch the way he commands attention without trying, the way people lean toward him, orbit around him. You used to think he had something you didn't, some secret charisma, some genetic advantage that made people want to please him. Now you see it differently. Derek isn't charming. Derek is just unavailable. Derek withholds his approval, his attention, his kindness, and people chase him because they want what they can't have. He's created a scarcity, and scarcity creates value. You've been giving yourself away for free your entire life. You seem different, someone says at the dinner. Sarah. You've known Sarah for 8 years. You helped her move 3 times. You listened to her cry about her ex at 2 in the morning. You've never asked her for anything, not once, because you didn't want to be a burden. Different how? You ask. Sarah frowns. She's trying to find the words, trying to articulate something she senses but can't name. I don't know. More present, I guess. More here. What she means is more real, more solid, more like a person who exists independently, rather than a reflection that only appears when someone else needs something. You nod. You don't explain. You've learned that explanations are a form of giving, and you're done giving things away. At work, the transformation accelerates. You stop staying late. You leave at 5, exactly at 5, and you don't look back. The first time you do this, your manager comes to your desk the next morning. There's something in her face you've never seen before. Not anger exactly. but attention. Genuine attention. For the first time in 3 years, she's looking at you like you're a variable in an equation she hasn't solved yet. "The Hendricks account," she says. "It wasn't finished." "I left at 5, you say. "You always stay late." "I don't anymore." The silence stretches. She's waiting for you to apologize, to explain, to offer to make it up somehow. You've always filled these silences. You've always rushed to smooth things over, to repair any discomfort you might have caused, to make sure no one ever felt inconvenienced by your choices. You don't fill this one. "Okay," she says finally. "I'll talk to Marcus." She walks away. And something in the way she walks is different. Not hostile, not punitive. Almost careful, like she's reassessing. The thing no one tells you about kindness is that it makes you invisible. You've spent your whole life believing the opposite. You believed that kindness was currency, that if you just gave enough, did enough, sacrificed enough, eventually you would earn something in return. Respect, love, acknowledgement, something. You believed in karma, in reciprocity, in the fundamental fairness of the universe. But the universe isn't fair. The universe doesn't keep score. The universe doesn't care that you held the door open for 10,000 strangers who never looked at you, that you worked late nights for promotions that went to other people, that you poured yourself into relationships that drained you dry. The universe only notices when you stop. You start testing the limits. At a meeting, someone interrupts you mid-sentence. This has happened before, countless times. Usually you retreat, swallow your words, wait for a gap that never comes. This time, you keep talking. Not louder. You're not aggressive about it, just persistent. You finish your sentence like the interruption never happened. The room goes quiet. People look at you. People see you. The interrupter, Michael, middle management, has never respected anyone in his life. Opens his mouth to speak again, and then closes it. Something in his calculation has changed. You're not the path of least resistance anymore. "Go on," your manager says. You do. The first time someone asks for your help and you refuse, it feels like violence. Not to them, to yourself. You've been programmed to say yes so deeply that the word no triggers physical symptoms, a tightness in your chest, a flutter of panic, a voice in your head screaming that you're making a mistake, that they'll hate you, that you're being selfish, that you're being cruel. You say no anyway, and they don't hate you. They just adjust. They find someone else. They solve their own problem. They survive without you. This is the revelation that undoes everything you thought you knew. People can survive without you. Your help was never necessary. It was just convenient. You were the easy option, the reliable source, the well that never ran dry. And because you were always available, you were never valued. Scarcity creates value. You become scarce. 6 months pass. You barely recognize yourself. You've been promoted, not for your work, though your work is good, for your presence, for the way you walk into rooms now, the way you hold space, the way you speak only when you have something to say and refuse to apologize for existing. Your manager calls you leadership material. She's the same manager who used to drop extra work on your desk without asking. Now she asks. Now she negotiates. The respect is intoxicating. People defer to you in conversations. People remember your name. People check with you before making decisions, not because you have authority over them, but because they want your approval. They want something from you, and you've made it clear that your approval is not freely given. You've become Derek. The old friends start to fall away. Sarah calls less often. When she does call, there's something hesitant in her voice, something careful. She's not sure how to talk to you anymore. You used to be the one she vented to, the one who absorbed her problems without complaint, the one who made her feel better about herself by comparison. Now you're someone else, someone she doesn't quite recognize. I feel like I don't know you anymore, she says during one of these calls. Maybe you never did, you say. There's a long pause. Maybe, she agrees. She doesn't call again. You wait for the grief, the loss, the ache of a friendship ending. You've known Sarah for 8 years. You've held her while she cried. You've listened to stories you didn't want to hear, kept secrets you didn't want to keep, given pieces of yourself that you'll never get back. The grief doesn't come. What comes instead is relief. At night sometimes, you think about who you used to be. You remember the person who said yes to everything, who apologized for taking up space, who believed that if they just gave enough, they would finally be enough. That person seems impossibly far away now, like a character from a book you read as a child. You can recall the outline, the basic shape, but the details have faded. You don't miss them. You can't miss them. Missing them would mean admitting that something was lost, and you've convinced yourself that nothing was lost. Only shed, only discarded like dead skin, like weight you were never meant to carry. But in the very late hours, when sleep won't come, you sometimes wonder, was that person weak, or were they just different? Did they fail you, or did you fail them? You push the thoughts away. You've gotten good at pushing thoughts away. There's a moment. It happens at another dinner party, another gathering of people who now look at you differently, when you see someone standing alone by the snack table. Young, nervous, the way they hold their shoulders, the way their eyes scan the room for something to do with their hands, the way they laugh too quickly at nothing. You recognize all of it. You used to stand exactly like that. Someone approaches them, asks for a favor. The young person says yes immediately, eagerly, desperately. You can see the relief in their face, the gratitude at being needed, the way they mistake usefulness for acceptance. You could help them. You could pull them aside, at least warn them about where that path leads. You could tell them that kindness is a currency that only depreciates, that being helpful makes you invisible, that the only way to be seen is to become difficult to reach. You don't. You watch them agree to another favor, watch them smile too wide, watch them shrink themselves down to fit into someone else's convenience. And something in you shifts, not toward them, but away. They're making the same mistakes you made, and they'll have to learn the same lessons you learned, and their transformation will happen the way yours did. Slowly, painfully, through 1,000 small surrenders that add up to something unrecognizable. Or it won't. Maybe they'll stay kind. Maybe they'll give until there's nothing left and call it virtue. You're not sure which outcome is worse. The promotion brings new responsibilities. More people beneath you, more decisions, more power. And when you discover something about power that no one told you, it's easier when you don't care. The people who work for you, they have problems. They have children and sick parents and mental health struggles and car payments they can't make. They come to you because you're their manager, and they ask for things. Schedule flexibility, extended deadlines, small mercies that would cost you nothing. You used to give these things automatically. You used to imagine yourself in their position, feel their stress as if it were your own, sacrifice your convenience for their comfort without hesitation. Now you calculate. Now you weigh their request against its benefit to you. Not to the company, not to the team, to you. If granting the favor earns you loyalty you can use later, you grant it. If it doesn't, you don't. There's no malice in this. There's no cruelty. It's just efficient. It's just how things work when you understand how things work. Your team respects you, and they fear you a little, maybe. They never take you for granted. This is what you wanted, isn't it? There's a woman in your building, Eleanor, 80 years old, maybe older. She lives alone. You used to help her carry groceries up the stairs. You used to stop and talk to her in the hallway, listen to stories about her late husband, her estranged daughter, the life she lived before everything got small and quiet. You stopped helping months ago. You nod at her now, politely, distantly. You're busy. You're important. You have places to be. One day you see her struggling with her bags, leaning against the stairwell railing, breathing hard. The groceries are too heavy. The stairs are too steep. She's going to stand there for a while, catching her breath, working up the strength for another step. You walk past. You're almost to your door when you hear her voice, small and tired. Excuse me. You don't turn around. Inside your apartment, you pour yourself a drink. But you sit in the chair by the window, the chair where you used to read, where you used to think, where you used to be a person who felt things deeply and often. The drink is expensive. You can afford expensive things now. The chair is leather. You buy quality now because you're worth it. You think about Eleanor on the stairs. You think about the person who would have helped without hesitation. Who would have carried her groceries and listened to her stories and missed their own plans just to make an old woman feel less alone. You wonder where that person went. The truth comes slowly, like dawn, like poison. You're at a work event, a celebration for a big win, and everyone is congratulating you. They're shaking your hand. They're saying your name. They're looking at you the way you always wanted people to look at you. With admiration, with respect, with something approaching awe. You should feel victorious. You've won. You've transformed yourself from someone who was walked over into someone who does the walking. You've learned the rules of the game, and you've played them better than anyone expected. But standing in the center of that room, surrounded by people who respect you, you realize something quiet and devastating. None of them know you. Not one. Not even close. They know the version you've constructed, the strategic self, the person who says no and withholds and calculates. They admire your performance. They respect your boundaries. They fear your disapproval. But they don't know the person who used to hold doors open for strangers. They don't know the person who stayed late to help coworkers who didn't deserve it. They don't know the person who cried at sad movies and gave spare change to homeless people and believed, genuinely believed, that being kind was its own reward. That person didn't have respect, but that person had something. You go home alone. You pour another drink. You sit in the leather chair. You look out the window at the city lights, all those other apartments, all those other lives, all those other people navigating their own transformations. You're respected now. You've achieved what you set out to achieve. People see you. People remember you. People don't take you for granted. But you can't remember the last time someone touched you with tenderness. You can't remember the last time someone asked how you were and wanted to know the answer. You can't remember the last time you did something kind for no reason at all, just because it felt right, just because you could. You've optimized yourself for respect. You've erased everything else. The realization doesn't change anything. That's the cruelest part. You wake up the next day and you go to work and you speak with authority and you set boundaries and you calculate every interaction for maximum advantage. You do this because it works. You do this because the alternative is going back to being invisible, being used, being the person who gives and receives nothing in return. You can't go back, even if you wanted to, and you're not sure you do. You can't remember how. The kindness feels artificial now, and the door you hold open isn't an unconscious grace. It's a performance, a choice, an expenditure of social capital that you weigh against its return. Even your generosity has become strategic. You pass Eleanor in the hallway. "Good morning," you say. She doesn't answer. She doesn't look at you. You wonder if this is what you look like to other people now. Someone who walks past, someone who doesn't stop, someone who holds their resources close and shares them only when the calculation makes sense. You wonder if this is what respect costs. At night, in the leather chair, you think about the title of your transformation. Respect arrives the moment you stop being kind. It's true. You've proven it true. The kindness made you invisible, and the coldness made you seen. And there's a mathematical elegance to it that you can't deny. But there's something else too, something the equation doesn't capture. The respect arrived. But so did the silence, the calculation, the distance, the slow fade of every relationship that required you to be soft, to be vulnerable, to be present without armor. You traded kindness for visibility. You're still not sure what you lost. The months continue. You excel. You advance. You become the person that people tell stories about. Not warm stories, not fond stories, but respectful ones. The kind of stories people tell about sharks, admiring, wary. Your apartment is quiet. Your phone is quiet. Your life is quiet in ways that used to terrify you, ways that you now call peace. You tell yourself this is better. You tell yourself this is strength. You tell yourself, sitting in the leather chair with the expensive drink, looking out at the city that no longer looks back at you with expectation, that you've finally become someone worth respecting. And maybe you have. Maybe respect was always the goal, and you've achieved it. And the hollowness you feel is just the absence of the desperate need to be liked. Maybe what you mistake for emptiness is actually freedom. You could reach out to Sarah. You could help Eleanor with her groceries. You could stay late at work for no strategic reason, just because someone needed help and you could give it. You could try being kind again. But kindness is weakness. You've proven that. Kindness makes you invisible, makes you used, makes you a resource to be extracted rather than a person to be valued. The world taught you this lesson over and over until you finally learned it. And you're not stupid enough to forget. So you sit, you drink, you respect yourself. And you wonder, in the quietest part of the night, in the silence where kindness used to live, if this is all there is. If this is what you were building toward. If respect in the end is just another word for alone. You finish the drink. You go to bed. Tomorrow you'll wake up early. You'll go to work. You'll be strategic. You'll be respected. You'll be exactly the person you taught yourself to become. And somewhere, in an apartment you'll never visit, an old woman struggles with her groceries alone. Somewhere, on a phone that won't ring, a friend you used to have is wondering where you went. Somewhere, in a version of your life you can no longer reach, a person holds a door open for a stranger and feels nothing but the simple grace of being human, of being connected, of being kind for no reason. Except that kindness is its own reason. That person is gone. You made sure of it. You close your eyes. The respect is everywhere. It surrounds you completely. It keeps you so warm.